Okay, my background. I'm a 10-year domestic abuse survivor. I have sold furniture to feed my children. I grew up in a house that didn't have running water. I know what it's like to be marginalized as an Indigenous female in Canada. And what I've discovered over my 60 years on this planet is the reality that growing up in that experience or living that experience in that environment requires one, healing. Do that for you. Do not leave the wounds open. Get the help you need to heal. Like I said, please do that for you. If you do nothing else, you deserve that. We have to, after the healing, we have to unpack. We have to look at the stereotypes and messages that we believe to be true, the limitations on what we could do as marginalized people. We have to decide to go over, under, around, or through those challenges, and we have to stop seeing the enemy and start seeing the opportunities, which requires learning and then practicing what we learn. My mom used to say that wisdom is useless if not shared. Knowledge is useless if not applied. It's not about the ego trip of being able to rant and rave and brag about how many degrees you have. What are you doing with that education? How are you making things better for the people you love? And yes, of course, I have a handy dandy index card. I actually have 3 of them. So along the lines, coming from that background and now running a successful business for 15 years, that is not an accident. That was a lot of ongoing, constant reinforcement, learning, growing every single day. Every morning I have a to-do list that I go through, everything from listening to a motivational message from Brendan Burchard. Check out his Growth Day app and the Daily Fire if that interests you at all. I watch at least 20 minutes of an Ed Milet video. You can find him on YouTube, or that's where I watch him, but he has the podcast version as well. I get in my workout, I read, and that brings us to what I wanted to talk about today, because, and all of those things, by the way, are to help me unpack, relearn, so I can grow and apply new things. And I really need to talk to you about the next book I'm reading. The 16 Undeniable Laws of Communication, by John C. Maxwell. When I was reading that, I was ranting and raving about it. Well, if you are marginalized, if you are female, which means you're marginalized, you need to read this book. We Should All Be Millionaires by Rachel Rogers. It's already starting to look like it needs a haircut, and I just started some examples of the quotes from this book. These are just the things I've flagged. I recognize that the fears in my head are just stories that I tell myself. They are a prison that I have created to keep me from experiencing the disappointment of failure. Yesterday, I was reading about this. I love the way this woman talks. Amazing. Like, this is a friend. This is someone I could so sit down and have coffee with. She talks about broke-ass decisions as compared to million-dollar decisions. So the difference, does she define a broke-ass decision? I think she does. A million-dollar decision is one that creates time and energy, frees up mental space, reduces piddly shit, and creates space for the stuff that matters to you, allows you to feel strong, secure, and free, and creates options instead of eliminating options. Oh, here it is. A badass decision steals your time and energy, depletes mental space, increases the piddly crap, and prioritizes it above your greatest desires, makes you feel weak, insecure, and trapped, and eliminates options rather than creating them. So, for one, highly recommend you get this book. But even more, I love finding like-minded people. You know how when you run into someone, you run into a friend or someone you don't even know, but you've both seen the same movie and you loved the movie? So you get to sit down and have this amazing discussion about the movie because you're able to reference things that people who haven't seen the movie wouldn't get. Well, that's what I would love to do with this book. What I want to do is kind of a temporary book club, I guess. I want you to go get the book. I want you to read the book. I'm going to continue reading the book. And then I'm going to schedule a Zoom session where we can sit together and talk about what we loved about the book. So, what I need you to do is send me an email and just let me know you want to be in the Millionaire Book Club. All I need is your email address. I'm not going to harass you with ads or information or anything. If you want to get on my mailing list, that's a different thing. This is just for this book club. So I am guessing that the Zoom will take place probably maybe closer to Christmas or in the new year, giving us time to read it. I will keep you posted on that. I'll give you updates. But again, email me if you'd like to take part. There's no cost. We're just doing this to celebrate something that is really going to help you unpack and get rid of that marginalized mindset. It's not about denying the barriers, and that's what this book is all about. This is a Black successful woman. She most definitely identifies the barriers and agrees they are there. She just, like me, doesn't believe they have to stop you. So I would love to have that discussion with you. By the way, this is what really sparked this idea. One of the things I just finished reading, she asked you to journal on it. And I'm not sure the exact wording of the question, but it was something along the lines of, if you were a bad girl, what would you do? And that's because, that societal pressure on women to be kind and nice and a good girl. And it was so funny. So she wants you to write that question at the top of the page and journal on it. So I didn't do that, although I've dedicated a lot of space to thinking about this. What I did was I wrote that question on a Post-it note and put it on my mirror downstairs. So it's the first thing I see when I'm getting ready every morning. Love that. But what was hilarious is I was actually wrestling with something when I was reading that section. Something had happened in my world, something I wasn't incredibly impressed with. And I didn't really do a lot. I just didn't allow it to take up space in my brain because I wasn't going to ruminate on it. And when I got to that question of what would you do if you were a bad girl, the first thing that popped into my head, and I love that because that's those authentic messages, was I'd tell the certain individual to F off. And it made me laugh, and it definitely made it way easier for me not to continue thinking about it. So anyways, We Should All Be Millionaires by Rachel Rogers. If you want to be part of that book club discussion, free of charge, send me an email. On to the next topic. Next.